Sports Podcast. Today is June 3rd, and along with me, as always, is Jake and Dave. As always, I am Zach. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Tired, ready to get the week rolling, so looking forward.
Ready to rock and roll on this podcast.
Yeah, we are ready to rock and roll. Let's kick it off with our first ad read. This is our first ad read ever. Are you guys excited about this?
I'm on the edge of my seat for you to read it.
Pins and needles. Well, today's episode is brought to you by Prima Pizza on the corner of Pearl and West Chippewa. Open at 10 a.m. Monday through Friday and 11 on Saturdays. Stop in for their daily slice and drink lunch special. The Prima Choice for over 40 years.
Bunch of news coming out. First topic is Zay Jones looks amazing. He's getting a lot of rave reviews. You guys got any news on that?
Yeah, all reports say that he's looking bigger, faster, and stronger than last year. I mean, he did put on a good performance in his sophomore season, so I'm really looking forward to see how he looks in OTAs and training camp going into the preseason.
He wants that contract, and we needed number one, so let's hope he pulls through.
Yeah, this is a very pro Zay Jones podcast, so we're all in on Zay Jones. Number 11's our hero, and hopefully he comes through this season. A big season from Zay Jones means a big season for Josh Allen, so
even bigger season for Foster, who played 8 games last year with 700 yards.
Yeah, I mean, if it's really a battle through OTAs and then, training camp here, who will be the number one? And sounds like Zay Jones is kind of shining right now. Would you agree, Jake?
Yeah, no, he definitely is. I reiterate before, he's looking bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, that's all going to help him kind of solidify a starting spot with wide receivers. So, yeah.
We need him to get that chemistry with Josh Allen. Josh Allen needs chemistry with his receivers right now.
Yeah, and towards the end of last season, once Allen came back from injury, the guys that he had with him kind of in the beginning of the season kind of shined through compared to the newer guys. So it was really nice to see Zay Jones kind of finish off the year strong, as well as, like you said, Foster finish off the year strong. So it'll be interesting to see going into the beginning of the season whether he favors Jones and Foster over maybe Beasley and Brown, the newer guys, kind of see where he lies with those guys. I also heard that Josh Allen himself has been having quite the, OTA here. I hear he's a killer in the red zone.
Well, I saw some breaking news before this podcast that he won the home run derby at Micah Hyde's softball benefit.
Yeah, and that's a great event. They were able to raise $40,000 that it'll stay within the Buffalo community, so that was a great event. We didn't attend this year, so we'll maybe do it next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's been looking really good. He's been really decisive with his throws. I remember he was on this kind of video segment that he did. He's been changing his footwork after that Houston injury. So he's tightening up his footwork, being way more kind of confident with his passes. So, I mean, again, looking for him to have a strong sophomore season.
I kind of wrote about last season about this kind of injury being a blessing in disguise for Josh Allen. So it would be very interesting to see if even more time off was able to help him along. You know what I'm thinking?
Everything will help, and I keep saying this with a good run game. As long as we get the run game together, Josh Allen will be so much better.
Yeah, so him changing his footwork will really change the whole offense as a whole. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and his growth as a whole will be a huge help to this team. This week I put out a breakdown of kind of his run plays this season, and little hints of what he could work on his footwork wise, setting his feet, the offensive line as a whole kind of helping him out. So with all those pieces kind of improving this offseason, him especially, we could maybe see the passing game kind of open up and really help out the run game, just like David said. So I'm really looking forward to what he does in the offseason kind of translating into, gameplay as it goes on. I can't imagine he'll play too much in preseason, but once the regular season hits, I'd like to see him in full stride, kind of picking up where he left off last season,
Yeah, and I think bolstering the offensive line this offseason kind of will help with that as well. I mean, as you pointed out in the video breakdown, the beginning of his career, the beginning of the season, was a lot of designed runs to kind of get him in motion. But as the season progressed, those lessened, and he's scrambling a lot just because of breakdowns from the offensive line. So I don't think he's going to run that often. We also put something on Reddit as well, and that's what the feedback from the people were as well. Once kind of they get the chemistry with the wide receivers and things like that, the offensive line again gets down pat. We're not going to see too much of running from Josh Allen.
There was only 2 games last season that the offensive line had the same starters, so there's been no consistency. If we build consistency there, Josh Allen will stay on his feet.
And on paper, they really did improve on the offensive line. We can't really tell until the games start, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But on paper, they improved. They definitely put their money where their mouth is on wanting to fix the offensive line, like we've mentioned plenty of times this offseason. So it'll be really interesting kind of see if they can mold together, which will help out the timing, because Brian Dable's offense is all about timing routes, the wheel routes that he throws in, the hitches, the screens. Everything is about timing. So if you can get the timing down with the wide receivers and the offensive line, it'll all work.
Yeah, and I mean, also going to that segment that I watched with Josh Allen as well, they're working on a lot of option routes as well, so that's where timing and chemistry is going to come in big with those wide receivers and Josh Allen.
Yeah, speaking of kind of getting timing down, Dawson Knox has had a ton of looks this offseason because of all the extra timing and downs he's had with, Tyler Kroft being out and Jason Kroom kind of nursing an injury. He's been kind of a stud, they've said, in the OTAs.
He's from Mississippi, right?
Yeah, third round pick, number 88.
Yeah, so, I mean, especially him being drafted so early in this year's draft, I mean, you would want to think he's going to make a pretty immediate impact on the team. So, I mean, I don't want to say it is a surprise. I mean, it might be, but we shouldn't expect it to be a surprise. It wasn't like he was like a 5th round, 6th round pick. So I'm glad he's making an impact where we drafted him.
Zay Jones was talking him up just yesterday in WGR. Zay Jones was saying how good he looks and how he just catches every ball thrown his way.
And that's really what you need compared to what Charles Clay was really putting out the last year and a half. So if you can get a tight end that's kind of like sure-handed, just like everyone loved about Nick O'Leary, sure-handed, never wore the gloves, kind of like you're running the mill tight end there. But Dawson Knox doesn't need to be a star right away because you have Lee Smith who can jump in there and block and be your blocking down tight end, and then you can get Dawson Knox in there on the important passing plays, and you can have those sure hands that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I know we joked about it last podcast. I mean, Lee Smith being the veteran that
Your
he
favorite
is,
player?
maybe my favorite player. I disagree slightly.
I hope not.
No, he's definitely. I have the text. The receipts are in the handbook.
Definitely not. I mean, I'm gonna burn my phone after that.
Because they're there.
But him just being the fact that he is a veteran is going to help Dawson Knox with his maturation process. Good word, huh?
That's mine.
Good. It is going to help him just kind of learning the ropes and things like that. I mean, it's even going to help Jason Kroom. I mean, he's not a veteran in the league by any sort of means, so maybe Lee Smith will work out. Maybe not the way we think on the field. But
you might take some of the load off of these younger guys because, you have Sweeney, who was a 7th rounder, and then you have, Dawson Knox, the 3rd rounder, which was a surprise. So you kind of thought you were done on day 2 with the draft. And then, real late in the wee hours of the night, 11:30, you get a Dawson Knox trade up. So that was exciting, and hopefully you can kind of get a surprise out of his play this season.
I would still think Tyler Kroft is number 1 penciled in week 1. He's being paid starting money, so let's hope he pulls through, and let's hope Lee Smith doesn't make the team, because let's hope we got a bunch of young guys that just tear it up.
I don't know. He's got a 3-year deal. I imagine he makes the team. I think right now, though, you have, 3 players. I mean, it sounds like you have 3 players that might be able to be productive for you, which is a great problem to have too many hands to feed at tight end, which compared to last year, you had a lot of, you had a huge decline in productivity compared to other teams at tight end.
yeah, and as we know, Brian Dable is a fan of multiple tight end sets, so
Exactly.
we're going to need 3, maybe 4.
There were games last year where we had almost as many running backs as tight ends. So being able to even that out this year with talent, because we do have a lot of running backs. Now, if you have the same amount of tight ends and the same amount of talent and production out of that, no one's going to bat an eye.
Dable was the coach that had Hernandez and Gronkowski their first 2 years? That's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. That means he knows how to use the tight ends.
So they have
Yeah.
watch out, guys.
Hernandez killed it that year he played.
He did. Also, when he was at Alabama, he had O.J. Howard. So he's been able to get effective tight ends throughout his career. So maybe you can get Dawson Knox to kind of, shine through here as a young, kind of a huge prospect here that they took in the 3rd round. So we're going to go ahead and continue with our Mad Men Sports Meet the Coaching Staff segment that we've been doing the last, 3-4 weeks now, where we just want to have our fans and listeners kind of get fancy with the coaching staff and get used to, calling people out, knowing who's on the team, becoming better fans really overall. And I think it's been, success. We've had a lot of feedback from it, and I look forward to continuing until we're done with the coaching staff. So the last, 4 or 5 years, we've had Danny Crossman here. He's outlived 3 coaches now. And finally, they gave him the axe this offseason, and McDermott kind of brought in his own guy with Heath Farwell. He he's got a laundry list of experience here. So from 2005 to 2010, he was with the Minnesota Vikings. When, in 2009, he was a Pro Bowler. Now, that's pretty impressive for special teamers. Obviously, they made the rule about 10, 12 years ago that you need to have a super special teamer in the Pro Bowl. So Heath Farwell was lucky enough to be one of those guys. From 2011 to 2014, he was with the Seahawks. You know what happened during that time, Jake?
Super Bowl.
2013, he won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks. Very, very successful there. So successful that once he retired from the game, they picked him up to be an assistant special teams coach for the last 2 seasons. Which, the 37-year-old finally came to the Bills once it was time to leave there and take the next step into his progression. And finally, he wound up here as the special teams coordinator. Now, he's got a lot on his plate. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with the problems that they've had over the past couple years. We've had a couple new acquisitions. Draft picks are always going to add depth, be special teams guys. But historically, he's going to have to fix a lot of issues with the special teams. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, he's got a punter battle on his hands. It'd be really, really interesting to see who comes out on the other side and who's the starting punter.
Battle of the Corys.
Yeah, exactly. And then, kind of helping him along, they went out and got Andre Roberts, one of the best return guys in the last 3 years. So,
special teams guy himself, or Pro Bowler himself.
Yeah, so, only upward and onward for the special teams here, which, if you're McDermott, he's always preaching 3 facets of the game, offense, defense, and don't ever forget about special teams. So, good luck to Heath Farwell this year.
Madman Sports should do something if the Bills get a special teams touchdown this year.
We should.
That would be groundbreaking.
We should punch Dave in the face.
Who's Dave? This is Diamond Dave.
That was Patricia.
Patricia.
So we're going to come up with that off air. Thank you for listening this week. It's June. I hope you guys are enjoying the summer. It's just getting started. We got a couple more months here until the season starts. Like and subscribe on YouTube, please. Follow us on, Spotify and iTunes. And then, is iTunes dying, Jake?
I don't think it ever lived. Oh, actually, yeah, it hasn't been a thing since 2008. But yes, officially next week, iTunes is dead.
So follow us on Apple Music now. So, right?
Yeah, the podcast app will still be a thing.
Yeah, I'm out on Apple. I've never been an Apple guy.
You just can't buy U2's album anymore, which I'm not upset about. But.
I bet you they are. Yeah, and then follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram.
Everywhere, please.
Yes. Check out madmansports.com for any new updates for our website. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Whoop, whoop.